We're here in Visakhapatnam for a special edition of Forces First. Exercise Milan is ongoing, the IFR is ongoing, and we're joined on board INS Nilgiri by four young officers who will be telling us about life on board a warship. I'm joined by Lieutenant Aryaman, Lieutenant Commander Kaustubh, Lieutenant Commander Parth Sehgal, and Lieutenant Commander Vinay Dixit. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here with us. To begin with, I just want to understand, what are your reasons, if you could just tell us, behind joining the Navy?
I guess to answer this question, I would like to answer, if I may, I would like to answer in a different manner. I would like to answer it as what the Navy did to me. So when I joined the Navy, I was a young boy of just 18. And when I passed out of the academy, I was an officer, a gentleman. So the Navy is not just a service. It's a way of life. It teaches you, it transforms you into an individual, into an officer who is capable of handling all responsibilities that are bestowed upon him.
But, when you're basically choosing a particular service, there has to be some reason why you do so. As a young person, as a young boy, everyone must have idealized something. Is there any particular thing that had basically driven you to finally decide that, no, I would rather be a naval officer versus an army personnel, or for that matter, an Air Force personnel?
I heard join the Navy, see the world, and luckily that has been true for me. I have been to around 15 to 20 countries, so that way, it has been an amazing experience.
What about you? You're the youngest here, if I'm not wrong.
So I'm a technical officer. So what I see is that the exposure to the technology in any defense background industry or the armed forces is something that is class apart from anywhere we can go to.
So in terms of your experiences, let me begin by asking you this, Lieutenant Commander, because you say that you've visited many countries. Today we're talking at a time when several countries have come here on the shoreline talking about their maritime prowess. What is it that it feels like when you are in a different country representing India, representing the Indian Navy?
So from outside may appear we are going out, we are having fun, we are enjoying. But actually it is more of a responsibility. It is an honor. We are representing the country there. Not only Navy, it's the country. Whatever we do there, it actually reflects on the Indian Navy and India.
Right.
So we have been out, we have conducted many exercises, we have interacted with the personnel there. So overall, the entire focus is on the diplomatic relations. Yeah.
What is it to be like on the deck, in the sense, your day, if I may ask
Absolutely.
you, how does it look like to you when you're especially out in the sea?
So when we are out in the sea, we are a very high tempo operations Navy, I would say. So when we are out at sea, we are mostly exercising. We are mostly conducting, self workup, self training, as we call, so that we are always ready when the call beckons. So when we are out at sea, we are mostly busy in conducting our day-to-day operations.
But no, just to get a clarity, Lieutenant Commander Kaustubh, I just want to understand, what does your day look like? From morning to evening, how does a Navy officer's day on a warship go every day once you're out in the seas?
To sum up, you could say that from the moment we are out at sea, there is a lot of activities that involve training exercises. We have a particular planned deployment. So we know that there are several exercises that are happening with various different units. So the Navy itself is a world in itself. We have ship, we have aircrafts, we have submarines, we have special forces. And so once we are at sea, to get all of these units to complete the exercise, to derive the training value out of it, to achieve the desired result, to see the effect. So that is primarily what is happening at the day. So I could say very well that we are always closed up in the bridge. Every single minute needs to be monitored. We will have to cut for the next seal. When something is getting over, our minds are already thinking about what's coming next. So it's jam-packed. But there's a lot of thrill in it as well. At the end of this, you go look back and you see that what all you've achieved.
Lieutenant, let me ask you this, because you come from that background which requires the technical aspect of it, the technical expertise. For many outside, perhaps the idea of a sailor is perhaps just on the boat itself. There is not much that you really think about the complexities once you're out in the sea, in terms of navigation, in terms of perhaps cooperation. There are various areas. How has it evolved now in terms of technical aspects for you on board? Things in terms of development, how is it developing over the years? What does it really look like to be a technical officer on the ship?
So what I've seen on board is that the world has changed quite a bit, and so has the Navy. We have truly evolved towards a digital system. Everything today is digital based, and with this digital system, software is taking a toll on all the systems. So we can see everybody, even the sailors, the officers, everybody in the technical cadre on board is as well versed with the system as the person who has developed that system, or as the person who will install that system. So the expertise we get on ground is, the overall exposure in such areas is much more than what we can get just working on a technical firm, I would say. Because here you're at sea, when you're at sea, you don't have any Google, you don't have ChatGPT, there is no AI available right at sea, and it is just your brain and the technical manuals which you have, and the exposure, the kind of exposure you get.
Was there ever a tricky moment for you, like where you had to basically decide how are you going to go about? I cannot perhaps really get into the specifics of it, but are there tricky moments, because there's not much help that you really get at a time when you're just out and there is very little connectivity that is available? Are there such moments, trick moments for you?
For example, we had a very tiring day. There was a day at sea, and at around midnight, we found that one of the forward-facing radars were not operating properly. So at night, the bridge, which does the navigation of the ship, is completely blind except for the radars. So now, without the radars, the people cannot navigate, and we had to sit through 3 to 4 hours of gruesome working or tirelessly working on those systems after an entire day of tiring exercises, with my brain majorly fatigued out. And during that moment, I understood that human beings actually do not have a limit, and the limit is decided by your own mind.
You make a mention of thrilling experiences. What many, perhaps our countrymen, may not be aware of is the nature, the diversity in the kind of exercises that you all involve yourself. And it may not be just limited to warfare exercises that you do, but there are various other aspects to the Navy, from HADR responsibilities that the Navy has to various other responsibilities. If I may to ask you, what's the most thrilling experience that you've had out in the sea?
So since you're asking this question to a gunnery officer, I would say my weapons are my life. I have seen a lot of firings, missile firings, gun firings. Every time I hit a target, it's like achieving wonders. But coming specific to a situation, I would say I had the opportunity, I was given the responsibility to go for one of the non-combatant evacuation operations. That's like in a country where there is a civil war or there's some unrest, and we have to take out Indian personnel from there. So we had gone there, our ship went there, and we could actually hear basically firings going on, blasts going on around here and there. We went alongside, we took out the Indians from there. We had a lot of security arrangements which we had to do for that, and then we moved out immediately from there. So if you ask me, the gratitude, the way people thanked us for saving their lives, because once they were reaching the port, they had actually seen a massacre on the way. So that experience is, I think, very fulfilling, and I would say best part of my naval career.
What about you, Lieutenant Commander Sehgal?
So I would recount an event while we were at sea, and we had to go for an exercise wherein we had to fire our main guns. So I'm a technical officer. So for me, the margin of errors on board are absolutely nil. I have to ensure that the systems are ticking, and when the final push of the button is made, the round is fired out of that gun. So just before one of the the serials that was planned, there was a major issue, a major defect that had happened in the gun, and we had basically a response time of approximately 15 to 20 minutes before we had to actually undertake the firing. And in those 15 to 20 minutes, the way we stepped up together as a team, and going up to the deck, ensuring that everything is correct there, checking the system completely, maintaining the integrity of the system, finding out the fault, replacing the defective item, and ensuring that the gun is full up and running in next to less than 15 to 20 minutes is something which gives me a lot of satisfaction in my job as a technical officer on board. I would say engineers outside, they are the kind of work they are doing, kind of systems they are handling, and the ones that we handle on board naval platforms are very different. We, the systems, the requirement of the system to be always available is what makes us different, what makes us what makes us combat ready, and that's what we are trained for.
Yeah.
Is there a moment that you all have, because out in the sea there can be an element of monotony? Is there a moment when you all feel that there is a fatigue level, or there is, as popular it is outside, the work-life balance? What's the work-life balance when it comes to naval officers?
It's all about answering the call. When the call comes, you answer it. So
Is there a work-life balance here for a naval officer?
See, on board ships, we are working in, I will tell you a general routine you asked before. So, on board ships, we work in watches. So, there are breaks given to personnel so that they can rejuvenate themselves and always be alert on watches when they are on the watch. So, we normally follow a 3-watch system, 2-watch system, depending upon what operations we are undertaking. So, the working, operations of the ship is such that adequate rest, relaxation, rejuvenation is provided to all personnel, and I would say we have a perfectly running work-life balance.
But do you miss family?
Well, these systems that Lieutenant Commander Sehgal is talking about are actually time tested. They're almost well into 100 years old. So we definitely have certain organizational measures to ensure that we are countering the fatigue. And but despite that, yes, we're always tending towards that balance. I suppose that is true for anyone. Everybody's trying to reach that perfect balance. It's always something we're tending towards. So there are times when we have balance, and then there are times we're slightly off balance because of certain circumstances.
But then now on a platform like this, where you're interacting with so many other friendly foreign navies, what are the kind of interactions you have with fellow officers of your age and experience? What are the kind of, do you make friends? What are the kind of discussions you have? What are the kind of experiences you share when you are participating in such exercises?
So it largely depends upon with whom we are interacting. So like if we are interacting, like we had visits on board for friendly foreign countries, personnel had come on board. So it's more about exchanging the information, the experience, how they are operating, how we are operating, something they can learn from us, something we can learn from them.
I was actually quite surprised to note that despite the diverse backgrounds that all these navies, all these people are coming from, we have people from, say, Russia, you have people from the Philippines, smaller littoral countries. And yet when I interacted with these other fellow officers, I realized that a lot of their day sounds familiar to what is mine. On a lighter note, we have a lot of visits now that all these countries are there. We're all visiting each other's ships. So I was just telling one officer from I was just interacting with the Australians, just telling them, getting the ship ready, ensuring everything is right to host foreigners. We have to prepare. And I was quite surprised to note that exactly what we do on our ships is what they do on theirs. They're also all worried, whether certain places are shining, whether the entire route that people will be taking is spick and span. So we realize that despite which country we come from, because we're all in the Navy, we all wear the same whites, we have a lot of similarities. We have a lot of things to associate with each other. And that is definitely something very interesting that I've observed in this exercise that we're having right now.
Yeah, if I may ask each one of you, what is that one thing that makes you all extremely proud of being Indian naval officers?
So we are always there to help. I'm a very young officer. I've only served for 4 years, but in these 4 years, I've seen the Navy helping our own country at various locations and helping Indians at other locations as well. And not only Indians, we are always there to help other countries as well. The last time my ship went on a foreign deployment, we were there for HADR operations in Sri Lanka. The ship before that was also present in the Middle East to help the Indian diaspora over there. And the gratitude that we receive from these people is something that is beyond what I could have done as an individual. But because I'm a part of this organization, I am able to receive that gratitude from those people.
Well, I personally think that what especially makes me proud today is the fact that we as a Navy in this year, in this era, are really making a statement. I feel like we are part of a Navy that is on a very, has a strong momentum. The number of ships that we're coming out with, the operations that we're involved with, be it humanitarian, be it exercise, or the way we're interacting with other countries. And yes, being part of this country, when we interact with foreigners, the kind of stature that our country has today, that definitely gives me a very strong sense of pride in where I am and what is it that I'm doing.
I am proud of the uniform that I wear. That is the first and foremost for me. And in addition to that, I feel whatever I am doing is giving me a lot of satisfaction as a whole, because I am able to contribute to a much bigger cause. And plus, when the country really needs us, I know that I will not be the one who will be sitting on the corner. I'll be the one who will be standing right in the front defending the nation.
First and foremost, as sir said, that's the uniform. I actually take pride in my uniform. Thereafter, it comes the responsibility which I have been given. If I'm able to do my responsibility, the task which has been given to me, if I'm able to do it perfectly, I really am pride. I have that pride. I am proud of that thing. The day a missile is coming on board the ship, and I can say confidently that yes, I can take it down and I can protect my ship and my people, I am proud about this.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. And not often do we really get the chance to, speak to young officers. It's always an opportunity for us to speak to the men who are strategizing, but the men who are implementing also play a very pivotal role. So thank you very much for taking out the time, and all the very best. You have a long career ahead. And I think so, Pranav, we must say this on behalf of everyone, that, we're extremely proud for what you all do. Not often is it easy for you all, but, I'm sure every person in this country would be extremely proud for what you do on a daily basis. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
And in fact, it's talking to people like you that gives us the confidence that the future admirals and the future generals of our country are, young and energetic and thinking men like you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.